Good afternoon people and welcome to Hey Me. Today's video will be about Dana White privilege, why the UFC gives certain fighters preferential treatment. So if you guys remember, Tony Ferguson accused Dana White of handing out Dana White privileges while he was mentioning Iron Mike Chandler. And this got me pretty fascinated because, as you guys remember, Tony Ferguson had a 12 fight win streak, which also was heavily advertised on their YouTube channel. And when this guy says that there is something like Dana White privilege, obviously certain names come to mind, like Darren Till or Conor McGregor or Paige Wainsand, who has been cut off from the UFC, or Sage Northcutt. But it's actually pretty fascinating if you look at it, because you can't really accuse the UFC of racism, because Dana White privilege was also handed out to Kevin Holland, and Dana White privilege was also handed out to Israel Adesanya. But what all these fighters have in common is that they are from a Western society. All fighters that receive preferential treatment by Dana White have been from Western society, because as a company the UFC wants to monetize their audience as much as possible. And which countries have the most money if you look at them? Western countries. Why does Zheli Wang get an immediate rematch to Rose Namajunas? Because Dana White wants to take over the Chinese MMA market. And if you look at it from the perspective of Mike Chandler, when you're in a company, it's most of the time it's not enough that you just fight good and try to get into a high position as high as you can. You gotta, talk to the boss, be friendly with everyone, network like and if you look at Michael Chandler, I think he did exactly that. He talked to everyone he could, and he networked, and he made connections. He got along with a lot of people pretty well, and he also got preferential treatment. One thing you also have to mention is that Dana White has Irish ancestry. He also declared himself as Irish, so when a cash cow like Conor McGregor, who also has Irish roots, comes by, of course Dana White is gonna push him. Look at the newest comer, Paddy Pimblett. He is from the UK, and see how heavy the UFC advertises him. And of course, the Can Crusher, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's a pretty cool guy. I get why he has the star power that he has. Look at his YouTube channel. The kid makes good content. And he has also Irish ancestry, so I can understand why Dana White is backing him. And while many fighters get discouraged by this preferential treatment that the UFC hands out to their fighters, there's also outliers. Look at Khabib Nurmagomedov. The guy comes from Dagestan, from the mountains, and normally if you look at the Russian audience, they often stream the pay-per-views, and they don't really buy a lot of things. They don't buy merchandise, they don't buy anything. So of course Dana White doesn't give him that. Of course, when Eddie Alvarez came from Bellator and knocked out Rafael Dos Anjos, Conor McGregor gets the rematch, even though they promised it to Khabib. Of course, the UFC wants to make as much money as possible. And even Khabib himself said that he understands that Conor McGregor gets the title shot, but he still wants to be champion one day. And he got his title shot. And then the UFC realized that Khabib's religion, all this Saudi oil money, actually creates a lot of possibilities. A lot of television outlets bought the licenses from the UFC to display Khabib's fight to Muslim audiences, because Khabib is one of the first Muslim fighters who have been actually pretty good. So Dana White privilege is of course a very good thing to have, but if you can't back it up like Michael Chandler, it won't get you anywhere. Look at Darren Till. He was fast tracked, and look what has brought him. He just lost to Derek Brunson. And look at Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. The UFC, when Dana White started to realize that people like big mouth Kevin Holland, he also started to push Kevin Holland, but Kevin Holland couldn't live up to the moment and he lost his hype. And it can also happen like when you are Hamzat Chimaev, that you just get the corona diagnosis and you're off the tracks for 1 year. You can really predict it, but you can make the most of it. You can just go out, network, be active, keep on giving interviews, be entertaining when you're in the entertainment business, Or you can do it like Floyd Mayweather. Take the role of the villain, like Conor did in the Habib fight, a fight which made over 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. There's a lot of ways how to be recognized by the UFC. But one thing that doesn't work is to just be quiet and do your thing. Because 99% of the time it doesn't work. And when it does work, then you have to be Anderson Silva. Even George St. Pierre knew how to advertise himself to get a title shot, to get the right rematches, how to come back, how he cherry-picked his opponents like Michael Bisping for his return, and then he immediately vacated the belt. So, even though the competition rises and rises and rises, there is always a way to crush the competition. And if, for example, guys like Paddy Pimblett might get pushed a lot, or guys like Islam Makhachev might get pushed a lot because of the draw they could make, there is also like guys like Benil Dariush. Benil Dariush is a good guy because as a Middle Eastern guy, the audience doesn't really like him a lot, and I can understand that because it's an American TV show first and foremost. But you can all manage to skip that if you make the right connections, be entertaining, and know your target audience. Benil Dariush even managed to make the unthinkable possible, and he even managed to get some clout by declaring his strong religious beliefs. So when I watched the card, I didn't even think that Benil Dariush would make a good post-fight speech. But then when he called out Elon Musk, when he talked bad about Marxism, and when he said, "My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ," and he really meant it, then we realized, hey, this guy has some potential. But if you're just like Justin Gaethje, who can talk smack, but isn't really that much entertaining, but he can still fight, you will get sidelined. So keep doing your thing. Maybe be like Nate Diaz and do the unthinkable, or like Khabib who did the unthinkable. But there is always a way. See you guys next episode. Bye bye.